Of your personal experience, is Boris Johnson actually a Conservative?
Yes, he is, Patrick. And much as I enjoy your monologue, and you're right in one way that people have been looking to see the real Boris, the real Conservative Boris that they voted for. A man who takes charge, a man who focuses, a man who really wants to get things done, because that's the Boris I know as Mayor of London. And I think, obviously, we all know the last 2 years he's been knocked for six with the pandemic. We've had to deal with it. But we do want to get back to a one nation Tory party, a Tory party that does great things for the country, that keeps the economy booming, that keeps taxes under control. Now, he's got to balance that with obviously what he's had to do for the country, for the economy of the country, as much as the health of the country over the last 2 years. But also, Boris is never better than when he is the underdog, when he is the guy who needs to prove himself again. And in one way, if we remember the last Conservative Party conference, there was a moment when Boris said, I need some more trouble from my cabinet. I need something to come up from my backbenchers.
Well, he's got
and he
trouble.
was looking.
Well,
he's got to, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, well, he's definitely got trouble. But look, what a lot of people are going to be questioning now is Boris Johnson 2.0, right? Boris Johnson warships in the Channel. Boris Johnson, let's level up. Well, that was the Boris Johnson people thought they were voting for. How on earth can he mean it now?
Well, he's always meant to, because he meant it from the start. I think what he needs to do is focus on delivery. And I think that was the secret to his mayoralty. And I would say that because I was with him in the trenches at City Hall, dealing with an institution, remember, when we first came in, that had never changed from Labour. It had been built brick by Ken. It was a building that intrinsically, as well as physically, didn't want a Tory administration and a Tory mayor. We had to fight that. We had to fight in hearts and minds in the building. We had to fight in hearts and minds of Londoners. And he had to deliver. And we were forensic in our ability to focus on the policies that we'd committed to make sure they happen. And that's what he's got to get back to now. He's got to focus on delivery.
A lot of people are concerned that it's not just Whitehall, it's not just the civil service. Actually, there are people very close to Boris Johnson who are, some would say, maybe a bit green, a bit woke. And is he being lent on by those? Is Boris Johnson actually a strong enough Conservative to shout down those voices?
Well, to be honest, I think we have to look at the cabinet, not the voices and nameless faces around Boris. It's the cabinet and collective responsibility that will deliver the agenda. So I would never call the Home Secretary Priti Patel woke. I don't think you'd dare to, would you, Patrick?
No, I might be tempted to call her quite ineffective, to be fair, but I wouldn't necessarily call her woke. But look, come on, there are strong things. Boris Johnson, to me, does not strike me as a man. In fact, I actually read an article that he wrote in GQ magazine about his love of big beast cars. Now, I firmly believe that that's still Boris Johnson, right? And I firmly believe he's still the bloke who went on Top Gear and did quite a good job of razzing it round their track, actually. I don't believe that Boris Johnson wants a big green agenda. So where's he getting it from?
Well, what he wants is jobs. What he wants is Britain's economy to boom. What he wants is investment in this country. And that's why, actually, you'll be surprised to hear, but I and Boris set up the London Electric Vehicle Partnership in 2008 to get those minis that were being built, that were going to be the first electric minis, to come to this country and not go to the USA. Now, we didn't manage it then, but it was about investment. And yes, he wants a green agenda, but he wants it because it's going to be good for everyone in this country to get that investment, to get the economy going, and for UK PLC to be ahead of the game.
How's it promoting levelling up? How's it helping levelling up when you help people in the likes of Hartlepool and then you slam them with high energy prices and big green taxes and this, that and the other, things that, frankly, they don't vote for? He's cut himself off at the knees with levelling up, surely.
No, levelling up will be about making sure that the investment, the jobs, the businesses that we want to attract, the regeneration, and this is a huge agenda that no government's tackled before. It'll be reforming of the United Kingdom. And it's something that, we just don't want to try and move Whitehall to other parts of the country. And I've said this to Treasury ministers, that they need to work with industry. I work in industry. They need to work with businesses to make sure businesses are interested in bringing jobs to Hartlepool, to the north, to the Black Country, outside, spread the growth, spread the economy across the UK, because London is the engine And we know that of UK PLC, but we do need to see growth. And we need to be ahead of this. The French, I have to say, I've looked with envy at the French over the years, not very often on certain things, but on the way they've built their energy and their infrastructure to connect their country. They have protected their energy supplies for decades. We were behind the 8 ball on that, and we need to now have a big agenda like levelling up to get ahead.
OK, all right, now just talk to me about the channel, OK, because this is massive for most people, this idea of the almost unrelenting illegal immigration is taking place, not sending people back. The optics, anyway, of the Domino's pizza, the hotels, I know it's not the same for everybody, of course it's not, but the finances, actually, people are paying for this. So Boris slaps a couple of warships in the Channel, does he? Well, our Navy's not particularly massive. We've got obligations in Australia. I'm not being funny as well, but isn't actually the optics of a migrant boat just sailing through 2 warships because we've not got the bottle to push them back to France going to do us more harm than good?
No, I think this has been an ongoing challenge, let's be honest, for the government, and they've got to get stronger with dealing with it because people are concerned. And what we're actually concerned about is, let's be honest, not just people landing on our shores, the safety of those people going through. We don't want to see 10s and 20, 30, 40 people drowning in the English Channel. That's not what we want to see. That's not what we want this country to be associated with. So we've got to do more to stop this happening. Stop it in the Channel, stop it at source, work closer with our European allies, with the French, to make sure that we're dealing with these illegal immigration at source. And I think that's what people want to be the government to focus on. Because I tell you, nobody wants to see more dead bodies floating in the English Channel trying to get to our land.
No, they don't at all. Now, just in terms of Boris Johnson being a true Conservative, isn't there a weird quirk taking place in Britain at the moment where you see some of these red wall seats, right? And actually, traditionally Labour, pretty much, some of them always pretty much Labour, actually, and then they go blue, right? And now what they're harking for, frankly, is a Prime Minister who's more Conservative than he is, who's as Conservative as these people who used to be voting Labour were. It's a strange place for British politics, isn't it? Do you think that Boris Johnson understands the mind of the northern man and woman enough?
I think he does. And what gives me the confidence to say that is not just because I know him for the best part of 20, 25 years, that I've worked with him when he was Mayor of London. It's because look at what he did when he fought for Brexit. You know, he tapped into a lot of what those people wanted. It wasn't just about controlling immigration. It was about laws. It was about sovereignty. It was about a sense of what this country stood for and could stand on its own 2 feet. And that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted somebody to champion and deliver. Now, a lot of people disagreed with Boris Johnson at that point. When he came out in support of Brexit, when he led that campaign, I think it's clear to say that at least half the country disliked him, if not more than that. Yet he won them over. He won the Brexit conversation, and then he won a stonking majority in the general election as well. That's the kind of politician Boris is. I think that's what people want to see more of. And I think that's what he's got to get back to.
I spoke to a prominent backbench MP earlier today. He said, look, it's time for substance. We liked Boris. We like Boris. We'd like to go for a pint or 3 with Boris. But actually, we do want someone now that maybe has a little bit more credibility. And even the name of someone like David Davis, for example, was floated as that. Boris Johnson might struggle there, Martin, see, because David Davis is a Conservative and he also seems trustworthy.
For those of us with long memories, I remember David Davis standing in the leadership campaign against David Cameron in 2005. He was meant to be the out-and-out successor to Michael Howard. That didn't happen, and we all know the history from then. David Cameron came with a fresh vision for this country. In fact, he came with a vote blue, turn green agenda, if you remember back then. But what we're talking about now is different times, different politics. We have a Conservative Prime Minister who has won unprecedented election after election after election when he stood. And I think the Conservatives need to remember that. They also need to remember that there has been a global pandemic for the last couple of years. And this Prime Minister, this government generally seem to have made the right decisions on the big calls to get this country through and put us ahead of other countries in terms of rebuilding and bouncing back from this pandemic. So let's focus on that. Yes, there are problems. Yes, there are things he should absolutely take responsibility for and has apologised, but he's got the right big agenda. He does need to work on delivering it.